printer sits on the Wi-Fi network just like the handset does, and that means that the printer, in order to print, must be in range of the Wi-Fi network. So if you take your handset and your printer out of the Wi-Fi network range, you won't be able to print directly to it. However, that shouldn't be an issue here, so we'll have a quick look at the Sewoo configuration tool. There's a CD that comes with the LK P20 printer. I've thrown that into my disk drive, and on that there is a utility folder. So we'll pop into the utility folder here, and inside there we'll see a configuration tool. So we're just going to run that up, and it looks like this. So the first thing we're going to do is have a look at the options on the screen. This is a generic configuration tool, so it's got some Bluetooth settings if you happen to buy the Bluetooth version of the printer. We haven't, we've got the Wi-Fi version, so we're going to ignore everything on this screen. And instead we're going to come down here to where it says Start Wi-Fi Settings, and we're going to click on Wi-Fi Settings there. That brings us up with another Wi-Fi Settings dialog. So in this case, as I showed you earlier, we have the printer plugged into the USB port. So we're just going to pop down here and select USB. From there we can open the port. It will take a few seconds, and then we can get the Wi-Fi information. In this case it will download that information from the printer, and we'll have a look at what we have set up here. As you can see, we have the SSID of the network configured here. So this was a little bit confusing for me when I first set it up. I wasn't sure if the printer was running in ad hoc mode or in infrastructure mode, and that's actually a setting down here. So we want the printer to be in infrastructure mode. So first of all, we're going to set up the SSID. I've already done mine, Droid Air, and we set the IP address of the printer to be an IP address that is available on that network. We can set the net mask to 255.255.255.0. The gateway and the DNS server for that Wi-Fi network addresses go in there. You can set the Wi-Fi mode to infrastructure. I haven't played with ad hoc mode, but you could potentially set it up as ad hoc if you wanted to use the printer outside of the Wi-Fi network. We're not covering that in this tutorial though, so we'll set it to infrastructure mode. Set the Wi-Fi channel to whatever your Wi-Fi channel happens to be. You get that information off your Wi-Fi router. I've set mine to 11. The Wi-Fi encryption for me is WPA, and I have a shared key. From that, you can come down here to the WPA authentication and set the authentication to WPA PSK. In my case, I have set up a very temporary shared key for this demonstration. And you put the shared key in there. Once you've done all of that, you can save that Wi-Fi information back to your printer. So it takes a few seconds to save. And once that write is complete, that's your printer configured. So the best way now to test it is to unplug it off the USB port and power it off, then power it on while holding down the feed button, and it will print out a docket, which I will show you shortly. On the docket it should have all of those Wi-Fi settings configured. From there, once the printer is turned on, you can ping it and ping that IP address. So we'll have a look at that now. I'll just unplug this printer off from the USB port. We can close this port here and exit out of here, exit out of this app, and we can just check to make sure that we can ping the printer. So I'm going to run up a command prompt, and we're just going to ping the IP address that I configured for my printer, which was 192.168.0.192. And you can see here I'm now getting no reply from this printer. So we'll have a quick look at that. Oh, Let's just try that again. I think I went to sleep. Let me just have a look and see what my IP address on this machine here is. Config, because it's telling me that that address is unreachable. And I'm on none of those. Oh yeah, I'm on 192.168.0.15. So I must have a different IP address. Okay, so once you have uploaded your configuration to your Sewoo printer, we're just going to power it down and power it back up again. So you need to just push the power button on the printer, hold your finger down on it, and the printer will shut down, and then push the power button on it again until the blue battery lights come on, and then the printer should be up and running on your network. So you should be able to ping it. So here we go, ping 192.168.0.192. We're getting a reply from it. That means the printer is on the network and is up and working correctly. At this stage, you don't need to install any print drivers on your PC, unless of course you want to, and you can then print to your Sewoo printer from your computer, but we don't need to do that. It's on the network and we can then print to it from our handheld. So we're going to have a look at how to configure up the POSDroid software to talk to our Sewoo printer and get it printing without any problems on the network. Okay, we're going to have a look to see how we configure our POSDroid software to attach to our LK P20 printer.